Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing for weekly automotive mechanical content for the average shade tree mechanic. Driving back from the gun range, made some adjustments, shot well after I made some adjustments on my Glock 19 Gen 5. So if any of y'all have Glocks, you know as much as I do, they're a joy to shoot. Just came back from an indoor range. But purpose of this video is to actually give a review of the new Cooper Discover AT3 XLT tires that I installed almost about, I want to say 1,000 miles ago. And there's another Ram about to pass me up for a cabin chassis. That thing sounded good. That thing sounded good. But yeah, anyways, I've had the tires on for about 1,000 miles now. I want to say I've had them on for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks. If you're not a recent follower to my channel, I recently had 35 by 12.5 by 18 needle ridge grapplers. I love those things. I'm going to keep them. Throw them on probably once I delete or re-gear my truck, but I wanted something a little lighter. Now these tires are 285 by 75 18s. Did some research. They're 59 pounds per tire compared to my 74 pound needle ridge grapplers. All right, and so those 15 pounds really make a difference. And I drove out here to the gun range. It's about 75 miles on 95. I drove at 70 miles per hour. I forgot what the truck got in the needle ridge grapplers. I want to say 19. Now I drove 70 miles per hour from where I came from on 95 for 75 miles. And so that actually came out to 23.6. I think I actually took a photo. So 23.6 miles per gallon that it showed on the EVIC. Now, if you've been driving a Ram for a while, you know not to believe what the computer tells you because it overshoots the miles per gallon on our trucks. If I subtract 3 off of the EVIC, that put it at 20.6 miles per gallon, roughly for hand calculated. So that's going to be roughly a 2 to 3 miles per gallon difference. And once I'm actually done with this video, because I'm actually in the process of it, I'll do all the math. Right now I'm driving back 75 miles, but I'm going to do it at 65 miles per hour. Now the speed to drive at pretty much sucks, you know, especially when the speed limit's 70 miles per hour. Driving 65, getting passed up by 18-wheelers, it sucks. But the thing is that a lot of people driving these trucks, driving our Ram 2500s, 3500s, they're driving at either, you know, 60 to 70 miles per hour. And depending on what load you have, you want to see the numbers at 65 miles per hour, sometimes 60 miles per hour, especially if you're not on the interstate. All right, so as painful as it is to drive 65 miles per hour for 75 miles, I'm going to do it so I can see the difference in miles per gallon of these tires than I did for the needle ridge grapplers. But that's not entirely what this video is about. All right, so getting along into the review of these Cooper tires other than miles per gallon. One thing I've noticed within the past month or 1,000 miles is that there's more braking required, and I noticed that fairly quick once leaving the tire shop. And so what does that mean? That means that my truck has less rolling resistance than they did with the needle ridge grapplers. So that's one thing that you will notice if you go to a lighter tire, or if you go to a heavier tire, you won't have to brake as much coming to a stop or a light due to the fact that there's more rolling resistance of your tires and the truck. All right, so compare, and I also have new wheels. So my new wheels also heavier than the chrome clad 18-inch wheels. And so if you add another, it was what is it? The stock tire is 51 pounds, I believe, 74 pounds. It's almost 25 pounds that you're adding on top of the additional weight that the wheel is. Say that's another 5 pounds or 10 pounds compared to our chrome clad wheels. That is an additional 35 pounds per wheel that the truck has to turn in order to continue forward, obviously drive. Multiply that by 4, that's all that is additional weight for rolling resistance. All right, and so that's going to impair a lot of things. It's going to probably change the way the truck shifts, very little. It's obviously going to change the way the truck rolls. It won't be able to roll freely, whereas it used to. It's just more rolling resistance. I don't want to beat that up. So there's more braking required from these lighter tires, which is not essentially a bad thing. It's just one thing to keep in mind while you're transitioning tires, whether that's smaller or larger, taller in diameter. Something to keep in mind. All right, so for these tires specifically, I want to say they pick up more larger rocks than the Nitto Ridge Grapplers. Now the Nittos would pick up those very small rocks that will get in between all the small treads. These don't really pick up the small rocks, but they pick up the larger ones that gets in between the middle portion of the tire of the tread. So one thing to keep in mind, I do have factory OEM mud flaps. I'm sure everyone that's driving around me, behind me, appreciates those mud flaps, but I wouldn't be surprised they're still kicking up rocks. So one thing to keep in mind with these trucks is that if you're driving off-road, construction area, you're going to pick up some rocks while you're working, and you're going to bring that along with you on the road. So make sure you're probably throwing on some mud flaps if you have some sense of courtesy while you're driving with these tires. Just another thing to keep in mind. One thing that I did notice coming from the Nitto Ridge Grapplers is that the transmission shifts significantly smoother than I did with the Nittos. So what that means is that it has to do with weight. It has to do with the resistance of the bigger tires. Maybe going uphill, it's finding a little more harder with shifts. What I've noticed is that they're a little smoother, and when I say a little, it's enough to make a difference to what I've noticed driving with the Nitto Ridge Grapplers. Now they're 35s. I do know it'd be a little rougher with 37s with the stock 3.42 rear gearing that we have. This one's a 2018. Not too many options. I think it's the only option for this truck to have when it comes to gears. But yes, it was a 35. I would feel it shift a little rough, a little tough. It was firm, but it was a hard firm. It was a harsh firm. So that's one thing that I noticed going from stock tires to the Nitto Ridge Grapplers. Another thing that I wanted to mention about is that when you buy 35, say it's a 35 by 12.5, 35 by 13.5, whatever, all right, those dimensions are really a range. And so I think the Nitto Ridge Grapplers were 34.4 inches tall, but when you actually put air in them and mount them on the truck, God, but this guy hates me right now. Anyways, when you actually mount them and install them in the truck, the weight of the truck pushes down. The height of the tires were only 33.75 inches tall. And that's when they were warm, when they were actually flexing out as much as they would. All right, so if you think you're going to mount 35-inch tires and keep them 35s once you actually mount them, that's not the case. Just for anyone that's wondering. So these are actually, I think, 34.8, 34.6 inches tall. But when they were actually mounted, it comes out to 34 inches warm height. All right, and I'm happy with that. As long as I kept the height that I had with the Nitto Ridge Grapplers, which is about 33 3/4, if it stayed around there, then I was happy. You know, I got another 1/4 inch bump up, so happy about that. Not as wide, obviously. The Nittos were pretty wide, but that's, I mean, you either want super wide, you want skinny, or you want tall. Pick your poison. You could get them all, but you're gonna have to pay the price. And so, yeah, these are not as wide. They're a little taller, and that's the look that I really like with these trucks. Now, the reason why I didn't go 295/70 by 18s is because they would have been, I think, like an inch shorter than the Nitto Ridge Grapplers, and I really like the height of the truck with the 2-inch leveling coil kit that I threw on from Thurin. If you haven't checked out that video of how to install those coils and the leveling kit, go ahead and check that out right here. It's the only one on YouTube, by the way, for our 410 John trucks with the radius arms. Sorry, I can't talk. So that's one thing to keep in mind with the height of the tires, and I'm pretty happy. So you can be rest assured if you drive a Ram 2500 4th gen with similar weight, with the coils, somewhat of a leveling coil kit. Anyways, if you throw on these tires on a 2500, more likely they're going to be 34 inches tall, warm. All right. So if you are fine with that height, these tires may be for you. If they fill up the wheel wells, yeah, they're not like some people would call pizza cutters. They're not that thin. They're still a little thicker than these stalkers, but I think they serve their purpose well. And it's 59 pounds per tire instead of 61 pounds for the 295/70. And I think the reason why I've lost so much miles per gallon is because how heavy the Nitos were. They had somewhat of an aggressive tread pattern, but not as aggressive as a lot of other all-terrain tires, hybrids, or even mud terrains, but that's a whole different category. One thing I like about these tires, the sidewall still looks beefy, just like the Nito Ridge Grapplers. They don't look like car tires off to the side. They still have some sidewall tread pattern sticking out, something of an aggressive look. I like that. And these things are extremely quiet. They're obviously still new. I want to say 1,000 miles. When I had about 7,000 to 9,000 miles on my Nitos, they got a little louder, but they were still extremely quiet. I was super stoked about how quiet those Nitos were, especially with some tread wearing down. These were extremely quiet. The reason why I actually went Cooper AT3 Discoverers, these XLTs, with their phenomenal reviews that they had on the forum. They also had some great reviews, Discount Tire, and so that's another reason why I wanted to go this route compared to the Falcon Wild Peaks, compared to the Toyo AT2s, Open Countries. I did research on all those tires. I was looking for the lightest one, an all-terrain tire, and something that wouldn't break the bank. But really, if you go this tire size, you're going to be paying at least $300, around $300 for these tires. I think the Nitos were $315. I think these I ended up paying like $280 per tire, something like that. So roughly the same amount for each tire, but both of these tires were great. And so with all the fancy, phenomenal reviews that this tire was barking about, on top of the height that they came on with the 285/75s, along with the weight of each tire for the 285/75s, it all ended up adding up to what I actually wanted for my tires. Again, I mentioned it in the Nito Ridge Grappler tire review. I daily drive my truck. I drive at least 23 miles to work, 23 miles back. I usually don't tow, so having some beefier tires really didn't serve a purpose for me, especially with the F-Load rated 35 by 12.5 Nitos I had. It was just overkill. They look great, yeah, they look good, but I think now I'm getting 2 miles per gallon better with these tires, and that'll add up with the amount of driving I do, about 25,000 miles I do in a year, and so it'll help out. And plus, it comes with a 60,000 mile warranty. I mean, what other tire comes with a 60,000 mile warranty, or comes with a warranty at all for these heavy duty tires? So I mean, you couldn't go wrong. I'm not trying to really promote these tires. I'm not sponsored by Cooper or Nito. I'm not sponsored by anyone really, but it's just I'm happy with the purchase. I'm happy with the performance that I've had on these tires. I've driven in rain, and that's one big deal, that I need to have confidence in these tires when it rains, and it's proven its worth in the rain, and that's one thing I need to feel confident in. I've gone down 3 times on my motorcycle, twice where it was in rain. I was in an accident in high school. It was raining, so I kind of have some history, some background with rain on the roads and driving. Gets me a little sketchy at times, but I have the confidence that I need in these tires. So guys, that's about sums it up for the overall review of these Cooper Discoverer AT3 XLT tires. Very happy with the purchase, very happy with their performance on our Ram 2500 trucks. No complaints here. But if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and let me know below. Let me know what you think. I'm sure a lot of y'all have these tires. But until next time, ciao.
Perfect.